There's something about you, your voice is all in my head. All in my head, all in my head. I cannot stop thinking about what we did. Oh, what we did. I just need one more night to beat it up. One more night to beat it up. Your body keep calling, calling my name. Just one more night to beat it up. One more night to beat it up. Have our own private party. Finish what we started, girl.
What's up, everybody? I'm Tiffany Toney, and you're watching another episode of Lipstick Tea. I know we've been throwing some crazy random topics at y'all, but we still gonna talk about a little bit of sex, a little bit of relationships, and we're gonna spill some tea. I would like to introduce the bitch Belle. I forgot to introduce her last episode, but she doesn't come out much unless she needs to. But I also have the lovely Miko next to me.
Hey y'all, Miko Rounds.
So shy.
She's so cute.
So timid.
So
Only when I say hi.
Hi, I'm Margot Graff, everybody.
Classy.
And I am Michael. And you're watching Lipstick Tea.
I almost expected a Batmobile to pull up, like right after you said that.
So your mind went one way and mine was like, phone sex operator.
Oh, I just needed a ride to the airport in the Batmobile. Okay. So before we started, Miko was throwing that ass in a circle, and it was very nice. Very nice.
Pillow
I
ass,
appreciated
pillow
it.
ass.
Yeah, I
Y'all
really
can't see,
appreciated
sorry.
that.
It's just for Tiffany.
So earlier, before we started rolling, we were talking about the subject of gay reparations. And a lot of people were upset about that because they were like, you know, how are gay people getting reparations? And then there's, you know, African Americans who have been through slavery who haven't gotten their reparations. And Miko was doing a good job of kind of explaining like what that is all about. So I'm gonna let you take the floor on this.
Right, I'm gonna take this. I'm definitely black first. But the reparations for gay reparations, they're talking in
Wait,
terms
can we?
of reparations.
I need to know what reparations.
Okay,
okay.
so back when slavery was what it was and when it ended, they were supposed to give black people 40 acres and a mule. That was reparations. That was like
To
our
start
pay
their life.
to start our life
To
for
repair
them
for
fucking
the
our shit up.
damage.
You know what I'm saying? For starting us off like that. Today,
But they didn't do that.
They didn't.
So.
We got a little story coming over here later about how somebody got some. I don't
Right.
know. But anyway, for the gay reparations, what they're doing is because gay was like not illegal, but marriage wasn't like a thing, and they had to make them file taxes separately. So they're trying to give them gay reparations in terms of taxes, like how big of a tax cut they had to take, or like how much they weren't getting back, and how hard taxes were hitting them because they were gay and they had to file separately, even though they were in these families and they had children together and they had all these things. Like only one person was claiming a child or whatever it was, you know what I'm saying? So that's why they're doing it. But it's also, I feel like in terms of what our reparations were, it's not going to be detrimental to the
rest
government.
of society.
Yeah,
either.
and I feel like it's easier to quantify right now. I'm not saying that we're not owed ours, because I am.
Right.
I want all of mine and all my mules.
So
and I don't
just
even
so
need
you
them.
know, that 40 acres and a mule was supposed to help freed slaves to start their lives because they didn't really have anything else to do that with. No generational wealth, no
No land.
education. Most of them didn't know how to read, nothing. So the government said, we'll give you this so that you can at least start with something. But then some laws were changed, new presidencies happened, and that was not issued. And people of color were forced to just kind of fend for themselves and figure it out, and running around with no shoes on and no education, and supposed to figure out how to survive in society.
And
so a lot of people were upset when they heard about the gay reparations because they were like, well, black people still never got
We
theirs.
still
But
haven't gotten ours.
she was explaining the difference between
The two reparations. And
So-
if you
And-
guys want to get any more education on like the Negro education in America, you guys should read The Miseducation of the Negro. Really good book, and it talks about even when they decided to start giving us education, but how they were like
It was
making
diluted.
or making it a certain type, kind of like how we have schools for like just a mechanic or whatever. Like they were doing those type of things, but at the same time still not hiring them.
Right.
So the 40 acres and a mule, we knew how to tend to land because that's what we were doing for them for so long.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But that, I guess, 40 acres and a mule. Why didn't they just decide to give people money if people are still waiting on reparations?
Because this is the thing. Back then, you give me money, all the real estate is owned by white people. They're not gonna let me buy anything with that. Black people were pushed out of communities for so long, not being able to buy houses in areas, not being able to do
Up until the
40 acres.
1970s
Right, so 40
even,
acres and a
so-
mule was saying, this is your establishment.
Yeah.
And even
Your
if
land, do
even
whatever
if a
you
white
want with it.
person wasn't going to, well, first off, we were farming their land, but even if they weren't gonna buy our product, we at least could barter between each other and be
feed
able to feed ourselves
yeah.
and have a life, you know?
Which would have ultimately reduced crime. It would have reduced welfare and poverty and all the issues that our country is now suffering from now as a result of a faulty foundation.
Right.
But hey,
And now,
What
and
can we
like because of inflation, like 40 acres and a mule today would be like millions of dollars.
That's what I'm saying. Like honestly, in my
now
head it
would've
was
been
like,
smart.
yo, 40 acres.
But that's what I'm saying. But now they're like, when the people are still bringing it up, they're like, yo, we couldn't even afford to give
We
you
couldn't
guys
afford it
the
now.
like we couldn't quantify that and be able to give you guys what that really would look like today.
Today.
Yeah.
yeah. So it's definitely up for debate, and some people are upset about it. But I
What
think you
states
did
are
it.
doing it?
I
think it was
know
here.
it's California.
It was in
yeah.
California when they did it.
Which I think is, I mean, the way that you explained it really helped me to even get a deeper understanding
Yeah.
for it. And I'm gonna actually do some more research on it on my own, because at first I initially had the reaction like, wait, what?
Right.
Why is this happening? And there's still people living on Indian reservations and people of color that haven't received theirs. But the way that you broke it down really does make sense, and I agree with that.
But also, I
actually.
feel like 40 acres still to this day, like they should just reposition that and figure out
Even if
what
it's just
that
10
means.
acres, give
Yeah.
me my
That's what
money.
I'm
But
saying.
who would
Run
you
me
give
my
it? Would
money.
you give it to everyone? Because there's a lot
There's a
more
lot of
black
black
people
people now.
than there were then. Because you
But
know,
wouldn't you? I mean, would you agree or disagree that generational wealth is something that we were not privileged to afford,
Absolutely. And
which has helped a lot of people of other backgrounds? I mean, even
Absolutely.
Italian immigrants who came here were afforded the opportunity to create generational wealth for those generations of their ancestors who are living now.
And I think that because I say all the time, because my family were fortunate enough to get
Reparations.
reparations.
How did that happen?
Well, because the slave masters were their parents. Oh. And so they were like one of my ancestors his dad was like, he was the white guy, and he was like, and he loved his mom. But
the slave, that was the mother
and
of
he
the children.
couldn't like marry her or anything and
Because
so-
of the law.
because of the law or whatever. And so he just said, I'm gonna give you, because he had 2 kids with her, and when they became adults, he said, I'm gonna give you each, I think it was probably, we live on 200 acres
Wow.
now.
Shit.
So
But he
your family was very fortunate. in
Yeah,
that
and
sense
I
to be
can
able
see the
to-
difference.
Yeah.
Are
I
you
can
sure
see
we're
the
not
difference.
related?
I know.
I can see the difference in
23 and me and you. Oh, yeah.
yeah, I can see the difference in my family, not because I always say, even when shit was at its hardest, we always knew we had a place to go because we've always had it. Like since the end of slavery, we've had this 200 acres of land.
Right. Which most people of color cannot
Cannot relate to
at all.
And I was like,
Damn.
At all.
and it does something, for me, it did something psychological where I didn't feel desperate. I never felt desperate, even when we didn't
Which
have.
is empowering.
It's very empowering.
And so imagine being a person of any background and having that same empowerment and what it feels like not to have that.
And then like my grandmother and her father and her grandfather were always like, don't borrow on the land, like don't take this to the bank.
Wow.
Don't sell it, and so we've
Grew up
Respected
understanding.
that.
we grew up respecting that. And then my grandfather's side of the family, it was a very similar situation. I don't think that there was love because my ancestor was 12 when she had her first baby. But the slave master ended up having 4 sons with her, and when slavery ended, he gave them the land. Like
Shit, so you got it on both.
Because she was still under
Because
18
she was you're
and
right.
needed.
and what's interesting is that he lived next door. Like he lived in a house next door to the land until he died. And they, like my grandfather and his siblings and cousins, they ended up selling all of their land because they were like, we don't want this anymore. And but my grandmother and I grew up on the land that we inherited from the slave
That's deep. I would
I've
have
never heard a story like that.
I haven't either.
Every time I tell
honestly.
people, they're like, "What?"
What the fuck?
Yeah.
And I like to the point where I've done a lot of. I'm like the family historian because
I
I,
have a
You
family
look like
person
a
in my family
historian
like that
I'm
today.
like because I was so
Sitting as
intrigued.
the
that-
family tree and stuff.
Yeah, like I'm so intrigued by it, like because I tell people like my because I have like little nieces, like a 6-year-old niece and a 3-year-old niece, and they're running around on the land, and I'm like, my grandmother ran like she did the same thing. Like it's just so wild to
It's
me
powerful.
that we still have this and how like it. And I'm not by any means, and am I saying slavery was great, but I'm saying that there is this for us. It was a very the end result of it
Was positive for your
was
generation.
positive for my generation.
Right.
And I think it's why I'm so adamant about there needs to be some recompense for everyone else.
Because look at how it
because
changed your life
I
compared
think
to someone
just
who didn't
even
have
on a
that.
psychological level, it
Absolutely.
made me go, I belong here because I
Yeah.
have this space.
Exactly.
Whereas I think a lot of black people, sometimes we just feel like we
Visitors.
aren't, this isn't our home. And it's because slavery ended and they were like, okay,
Figure it out.
figure it
you
out.
don't know how to read up.
And like 6 generations later, and we still feel slighted. We still feel like the cards are stacked against us
Yeah.
because they are, because generational wealth has not been a thing for us.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And we've been trying to figure it out for so many generations.
On
like,
our own.
okay, like
Yeah.
maybe education will do it. So
Yeah.
now let's start.
give all our money
let's-
to the college
Yeah, let's
and
go
be
to
in debt.
it's, and it's like great, but like also.
In a practical sense, it's like how do we create something that shifts the paradigm for all people?
For all
And
people.
Inequality isn't real if all people don't have it. It's a myth, And
Yeah.
the one thing I can say that even though I have brothers that are younger and I'm the older sibling, but even as a woman, I still feel that sense of responsibility to build something for them. Like I feel that on my
Absolutely,
shoulders, and I'm
yeah.
like, well, if I don't do it, then another generation goes by where my family has nothing, and my
Yeah.
parents are working until the day they die because they don't have anything.
Yeah.
They don't own anything. And so
Yeah.
that's my why. That's my reason for pushing forward.
Yeah. That's good.
So now as a man of color and as a gay man, is this tax reparation going to affect you at all?
No, I mean, because I was never filing with a partner or anything, and so, but I think that it's good. I definitely think that it's something that should have been happened.
Right.
Like the moment that marriage equality became a national thing, it should have happened because there were people well before marriage equality was passed that were having to file separately, had whole ass families, multiple
Yeah.
children that they had, and so because of that, they were losing out on tax returns that heterosexual couples were getting. Like, like, oh, you file as married, you get like 5 G's
Right.
off the cuff just because you're married, like or whatever. But because LGBT people weren't seen as married or couldn't file as couples, they weren't getting those things. And so, yeah, you pay me my money, 10, 15 years back pay of that, because why not? Like,
Right.
I also feel like it's the government sort of pushing an agenda. You know how like the picture that they use for this right now that's being promoted is 2 white males who are together. And it's like, now you have the black community in an uproar and they're upset about this. And we already have a lot of like backlash in the black community with black gay men, just black gayness in general. And it's like they chose 2 white men who in our mind already, white men are like the top tier of what they're making. So these men are probably in a whole other tax bracket that we'll never touch.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were getting taxed more, but they're making way fucking more. So it's just like, and you're pushing this agenda to where now the black people are pissed off about it. And then instead of them being pissed at the government, like being more mad at government and how they're handling things, are just like, well, why do gay people deserve this?
Yeah.
And it's like, God damn it.
And it's creating tension.
now you
for
got
sure.
some more,
Yeah.
but we're under Trump presidency, so that's all that happens. Tension, and more tension.
I think, it's all about education and giving people the knowledge and the tools. It empowers them. And so I'm glad that we're able to have this conversation. And I mean, because I think all of us have learned something from it today even.
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys, what are some of the things that have happened like over the last 5 years or so, or just in life in general that you feel are positive for the queer community, and like what are you excited about the most in terms of legislation and just the way things are evolving?
That I can say I do.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I just saw that Illinois
Yeah.
state schools will now be teaching LGBTQ history as part of the school curriculum.
Oh, that's so dope.
And I feel like, especially from being middle America, Minnesota, like I just, I truly believe, I thought I was a straight girl and that it was normal to kiss and shower with your female best friends, and that it was still
I don't know about that
still
shower
straight,
part,
but because also I just wasn't, the queer community wasn't around me. I wasn't educated. I didn't know anything. To me, that was just normal because I actually just didn't understand or know.
How old were you during these showers?
16.
16? What?
Did you have that detachable shower head?
No, it was truly just all of us hopping in a shower and showering.
All of us
Sometimes it was like 4 girls or something.
in a shower? Did you
You're
have
the
a
reason why.
sweet
You're the
16.
reason why hetero men think all y'all have pillow fights and in lingerie at sleepovers have
The
pillow
closest
fights.
I've showered with, it was teammates, and we had
In a
this
locker
large
room.
locker room. And I remember we played at this one school. For some reason, only like 2 of their shower heads worked, but we all backed up and we let one shower head kind of like. But we couldn't get on the bus after the game unless everybody showered, and we were trying to hurry up. So we were like, okay, you jump in. All right, you jump in, kind of. But that's the closest I came to showering with some friends.
I just feel like educated. I'm like,
I'm like, you can come over to my house anytime. Girl, I got that shower running.
I just feel like education.
Education is the key to unlocking, people's ability to be free.
I agree with that.
Swear.
I like how you flip that. You flip
Sideswipe
that
this combo.
straight. So I want to talk to you guys about some gay-friendly states. Okay.
Wait, they didn't say what you
Oh,
guys.
you're right.
Well,
I
think
said
that-
marriage. I said that I can say I do.
So gay marriage was the thing for you that you felt was the most progressive part of your experience.
Yeah.
And then for you, what was yours again?
The school.
You said the
She said-
schools.
yeah.
And
'Cause
then
I just feel
what
like,
would you-
I think that educate, like any forward motion in education is positive. Like
Absolutely.
it's so good because, like you said, there are whole states, there are whole communities where nobody knows shit about anything.
Exactly.
And,
Other than their own reality.
Other than their own, and I think that's why we have such awful echo chambers in our country and such like divisiveness because you don't know anything about the other, and so you can just make up shit or look at Fox
Perpetuate
News and be like, oh, this is what that is.
But it's going to help safer sex.
Right.
It's going to, really, hopefully, show people how they can have other families, other ways. Like, I feel like there's just, people need to know their options in order to make healthy decisions.
Right, and I remember thinking, because when I was in high school, I was in biology class, and my biology teacher, she was a kook anyway, but she flat out said, don't have anal sex. That's not what
You'll
it's
die.
for. Like, that's not what it's for. Like, and I was like, what?
That was her only
That was her. Like,
explanation?
she was like, it's not what it's for. And I was like, well, what?
Then what is it for?
and like, she was so like forceful about it. Like, and this is a public high school.
Was
where,
she your sex ed teacher? Or just...
No, she was the biology teacher.
But biology is something they've gone through. Oh no.
She was the biology teacher.
I was about to lie. I was about to lie. Say, but they go through
like-
the body. I'm like, no, that's anatomy. No, thank you.
Ooh,
Never trying to touch on my titties.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They're nice.
Oh.
They're real.
They are real.
They're real.
Oh.
But I think that if there was more education, even in just like basic health for LGBT people, like there would be. It would just.
Is there anything that you, this is funny to me, I don't know why, before I even asked the question. So is there anything that you wish you had known, like, or that you had learned in sex ed that you actually got surprised by in bed? Yeah, like in sex ed, maybe there were some things you didn't learn about, like.
Honestly, I thought that most women's vaginas look like my vagina.
We were just talking about this.
Yeah, we were.
in the bathroom.
So Not that we were looking at each other's vaginas.
Don't lie.
But I remember the first time I encountered a woman where her clitoris
Was in your face?
her hood, it was outside of the lips.
Yeah, yep.
And I just thought that was very odd. And I was like, okay.
It was
and then I've also encountered a woman who's just like really large. Like, okay, one was like extra skin large, and then I've encountered one that was just like harder large, and it was like protruding from the lips, and I was just like, what the hell is going on? And
that is not still
No,
okay
yeah,
vagina to
it's
have.
your
okay.
first time seeing
I understand
different body types.
Yeah, I understand the different body types now, but when it first happened, it really threw me back. And then even just the
ones
texture
that
of hair,
bumps.
just like even the texture of hair, because some people have thicker hair down there, like mine is kind of fine. So I didn't know that when they be talking about bushes, some people really had a fucking bush, and I wasn't around that. I didn't know what that was, and I was like, what the hell? So actually seeing vaginas, a plethora of vaginas.
So you wish that your sex ed class had gone over the curly, the wavy,
No,
the
they
Jerry
didn't have to
curl.
go over the hair, but I would have for sure liked to know that.
What other
not
vaginas
size.
maybe look like?
Yeah,
and what's
because
still
like
a healthy
some
vagina.
vaginas can be smaller, some can be larger,
Yeah.
some the lips
But
can
how
be
much
very
of that is
voluminous.
sex ed and how much is that of, you just need to have a conversation with your gynecologist.
Yeah, but is your gynecologist going to pull out pictures of different kinds of
is
vaginas?
a
But even
They got books.
These
in
are the
sex
kind of
ed-
vaginas
in sex
you want to
ed-
stay
in
away
sex
from.
ed they show normally if they even show a picture of a penis or a vagina, it's a white penis or a white vagina. They don't even show like just difference.
Yeah.
And if they're gonna show me a picture, at least talk about the fact that, because I know people who still think, I saw my friend wear a shirt the other day that had each part of the vagina pointed out. It was like, this is the hood, this is the clitoris. I know people who will still say the clitoris, but it's really just the skin that's over the clitoris, because you gotta get to it, you know what I'm saying? And they don't know that because
You
it's
should be a
not really
sex ed teacher.
Yeah, maybe that's your calling, because I feel like this is passionate for you.
I just was shocked when I saw some different ones at first. And now, I mean,
You've
it's
seen
fine.
them all.
I haven't seen them all. I've seen enough.
Seen one, you've seen them all.
No, that's not true. And see, that's what I thought. I thought once you've seen them one, you've seen them all. You haven't. You haven't. And I've been talking about guys' penises. My friend was telling me about uncircumcised dick and what that looks like. I was like,
That was a shocker for me.
see?
But
Some really beautiful ones.
uncircumcised ones?
really?
There are beautiful uncircumcised dicks.
Really?
I've never heard that.
Yeah, I don't know.
mean,
where do you
obviously-
hang out on the weekends? I'm going to the wrong places.
I'm not telling you.
She don't want me to have it.
That's mine.
So wait. What does a beautiful,
hogger.
What does a beautiful uncircumcised dick look like?
I don't know.
That's subjective, I think.
Exactly.
I think so too. Yeah.
Exactly.
Is it?
She needs to know.
I'm not going to go off explaining dudes' dicks, because then the dudes are going to listen and be like, is that my dick?
I
She talking
know.
about some other
She talking about my dick.
Okay.
What's one thing you wish you would have known that you thought you had it all together in your sex ed book, and then you stepped out into the real world and you weren't ready?
You know, I feel like the cleanliness of toys and different things, like one thing that scares me about, I'm not opposed to it, I just have never had a partner that I could like, that I've trusted enough to have these conversations. It's like, okay, so for anal, like I feel like there are just preps and things you should do and know that like if you're not a gay male, I don't, there are things that like you have tricks on that I definitely just don't. And so being privy in like the cleanliness and good hygiene keeping and everything like that,
Well,
like
his
douching.
teacher said that's not what it's for.
I know, but like douching and
told me that.
bidets
Yeah.
and how to properly clean and cleanse sex toys and things like that.
So
That
do
sounds
we
like a
really
YouTube
think that
channel
sex
all the
ed
time.
classes
No,
should
not
teach
at
those things?
Not at all.
They will shut that school down.
I think that's a bit
Burn
far.
it down.
I think that's a bit far, but I would like you guys to know that a lot of these sex shops, they have intimacy and sex classes.
Really?
Yeah. So like if you go to a sex shop, they have
Romanex?
talk to them about them. If you talk to them about it, they have like schedules, and sometimes they'll have sex therapists and different things like that come in and they'll host a class and they'll have discussions with you about toys, which ones are for this and
Interesting.
how you clean them and what they're for and how to keep your sex life alive. They had one that was like gay themed or whatever, or lesbian themed, so that you know what type of things were pleasurable to your woman, or you know, so they have those classes as adults now. So I think your sex ed class is that one, the adult sex ed.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, that's the
You're
one.
like 8 years old. What do I do with this dildo? How do I know if it's sterile?
Yeah, but you know, it's important.
It's important.
It is.
Oh, that is something important. But if my 8-year-old came home like, Mom,
your
you're not
vibrator
cleaning,
looks-
you're not cleaning your dildo right. Oh shit!
Well, what a healthy, amazing conversation to have.
I can't with her. I can't.
Like low-key serious.
Michael, is there anything you wish you would have known that
Oh.
the teachers did not teach?
I mean, like, I think sex ed is so sterilized that I really didn't know anything. Like,
Yeah.
you didn't know anything.
They didn't give you any tools
No,
to take
and
out
then you
into the
could go
world.
and you have your first time, and it's like, well, this wasn't at all discussed.
All they tell you is that you have a vagina. This person has a penis. There's a urethra in there somewhere.
A urethra.
And there's a this, and then there's like you piss out of this hole. Some people still think you pee in the same hole, and you don't.
Yeah,
But it's
some
like
people
they don't
do
even
think
really
that.
discuss that.
Right.
And then they say, and here's a banana or a cucumber, and here's a condom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is how you put a condom.
Bow.
on. And I think
And then there's a
Still
such
get
thing
condoms
as
confused.
And there's
Which
a
way
such
does
thing
it
as
go?
and there's a such thing as a dental dam. And it's
I
like,
think
damn,
all the
that's it.
different types of contraceptives in terms of every single type of birth control that's available.
I
and
think
how
that's true. That should be discussed
That
a lot
should be,
more.
especially for women, because there's so much where
Yeah.
it's like.
And it's constantly changing.
They keep talking about this pill for men. They need to go ahead and make that, like, so dudes can.
maybe I ain't gonna do that.
Right. I know. I saw an article on it. They're like,
Nobody
they're not
gonna do
gonna
that.
I still don't know how to put condoms on the right way, I swear. Like, I cannot figure out if it's
Do
inside
you
out
put
or
them on?
outside in.
They,
Sometimes.
they don't put them on.
Well, now I've given it over to them because I can't figure out which way it goes.
You're like,
Because for some
Doesn't it
people,
just roll
for
down?
some people,
well, I don't know if it's supposed to. It's like the tissue. Like, does the toilet paper roll go this way or that way?
no, it just.
don't
I think it
know.
just rolls down. You literally stick
I struggle with
and
it every
just
time.
goes
I have butterfingers every time. I'm like,
just do it yourself. There you go.
Here's saran wrap. How about that?
Here's a plastic bag.
Yeah.
they're like, ma'am,
Ziploc,
have you
it's
done
great.
this before? So I want to talk to you guys about some of the gay-friendly states. I know we talked about states a few episodes
Like
back.
the first.
Yeah, like one of our first episodes. I don't know if you were here yet.
I watched
Did you?
it.
There were episodes or states where it is legal to fire you for being gay. So now let's talk about the
One
most,
love, guys. One love.
the top 10 cities for LGBTQ people to retire or live, or if you just
Retire?
want to slow down and, you know, live that normal life, which none of us are currently living. But the number one, do you know what it is? I know you can see it. You want to take a guess?
I actually didn't see, but I would say California.
That's what
it's
I was
not-
thinking,
it's
but it's
not as-
actually New
Portland.
Orleans.
Really?
Yes, New Orleans. It says New Orleans is known for its historic French Quarter as a haven for the LGBT
I actually do know a lot of gay men from there.
Really?
I do.
Interesting.
It says it due to
I think a
its
man wrote this article.
Perhaps. I'll figure out who wrote it. It says due to the abundance of gay inclusiveness, according to senior advice. Now, this is for people that are looking to retire, but I'm assuming, I would gather from this that if they're accepting of elderly gay LGBTQ people, why would they not accept us?
Yeah.
Anyway, number 2, anybody want to guess?
Portland.
Portland?
I just feel like Portland's like,
West Palm Beach, Florida.
I was gonna say a part of Florida. Okay, but see,
Really?
okay, but listen, this is the thing.
Everybody
We're
retires
we're
there, so-
specifying
For
cities. We're
correct.
specifying cities, not states. Because I was gonna say Florida, but Florida as a whole is not. But you said West
Yeah.
Palm. I've been to West Palm. It's nice there.
Precisely.
But it's literally segments of places.
right.
Yeah, because I've known some places in Florida that can be pretty narrow-minded, and I honestly
Most
don't feel
of Florida?
safe.
Yeah.
I'm like, so it's okay for this person to be on opioids, but I can't be black. All
Right.
right, point taken, point taken. Number 3, anybody want to guess?
I'm gonna
Palm
say
Springs,
I'm
California.
gonna say either.
that's
look,
definitely on, that
either
better be
right,
on
Palm
that
Springs for
list.
sure. Either like, can I give you 3? I'm gonna give you all
Sure,
my
go
places.
ahead, go ahead, take
I'm
a
gonna
guess.
say we're gonna have San Francisco, California. We're gonna have Palm Springs, California. I'm gonna give you New York City, New York. Is that where they outside the other big gay pride at?
Yes.
And then, Los Angeles better be on there somewhere, but I guess I don't know if our
Well,
state gonna
number
be on there that
3
many times.
is Tucson, Arizona.
I mean, a lot of people retire there.
I-
Just
oh,
go
you
there,
said you're all
just
retiring
retire.
there.
Well,
They end
I
up
mean,
there.
but for gay people or people in the queer community, I was surprised by Tucson, actually.
No, actually, well,
Really?
well, not Arizona. I used to live in Arizona, and we had a lot of gay friends when I lived there, and it was a lot of gay communities and People just
Interesting.
living.
Do people do things in Tucson?
Yeah, I was wondering.
Like it's too hot, so you just stay inside anyway.
We're just gay
Very
inside.
fucking
Gay in the house.
Very fucking true. When I lived in Arizona, I didn't go out until it was 6 o'clock. I didn't leave the house until it was night. It was hot as fuck.
Well, it says that the University of Arizona's Institute for Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Studies are there. So Tucson was the first city in Arizona to pass an anti-discrimination ordinance protecting lesbian, gay, and bisexual and transgender gender residents and city workers in 1999.
Damn, that was a long time ago, too.
Yeah, I was actually really shocked.
Very progressive.
Wow.
Number
Okay,
4,
Tucson, here I go.
Toledo, Ohio. I'd never even heard of Toledo. Has
Nobody
anybody-
going to Toledo, Ohio to retire.
or to be gay. It says it's one of the top U.S. cities where you can buy a house for under $100,000. I know
might
that
be
ain't got
there.
nothing to do with nothing, but I just wanted to let y'all know.
I might be
Because the
there.
rent is high. The number 5, Alexandria, Virginia, which,
Really?
yeah, I'm shocked. I'm shocked as well.
Okay.
Because it's right outside of D.C. So let's see, what's number 6? Tempe, Arizona? Never heard
That's
of it.
where
Y'all, no.
Really?
I live
Let
in
us give
Tempe.
you a better list. This list is shit.
But listen, but that's where I live when I said
Ain't
it was a
nobody
lot of
living
gay-
in Tempe, Arizona.
said she
I did. I
lived
live
in
in Tempe.
Tempe.
Arizona.
You don't live there no more?
I don't.
Why? Because
Exactly.
nobody want to live there.
It was really nice, but when I moved there, someone had just wrecked my car. And so I was living there without a car. And I had just moved there, so it was like trying to get myself, and it was hot. And then my mom got sick, so I came back here. But living there, I actually liked it. It was a nice place, and that's where I was like, that's where I lived when I said there was a lot of gay people in that area.
Oh, really?
So I could see Tempe. I haven't been
Really?
to Tucson, so I don't know. But yeah, it
Ne-
was. And they had their
next.
own little community.
Next. No, Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Oh, really?
Which you actually mentioned earlier, didn't you?
No, I said I thought Florida had areas.
Florida was really on my mind, but I kept on thinking like, no fucking way.
right.
Fort Lauderdale?
Interesting. Yeah, I know. It says
It
they have
is
many.
such a
this
younger
list-
party crowd that
I'm
then
gonna
they
pull
just
another
get
list
to
for
mix
the next
in with this
episode
constant
too, for
spring.
specifically for LGBTQ.
If this list
But
doesn't have California in there somewhere,
then it's
this
lies.
is bullshit.
I agree. I have to
It-
agree.
yeah.
Because my friend who came here from the East Coast during Pride Month, and she saw, we went to the Grove and saw how every store had rainbows on. She goes, it's just not this inclusive. It's just not. And I'm like, come on. So if they don't got a California on
Right.
there
I
right
have
now.
to agree with you on that.
She's
And there's
scrolling
no
way
California.
too
I'm
much.
like, I'm scrolling and I don't see it. So I want to actually look at another list if you
It's
guys
like
don't
Palm
mind.
Springs.
Gave us some
If
bullshit.
you guys
Like Palm
don't
Springs.
mind.
Palm Springs should
'Cause
be
Frisco,
like
you
Palm
can't
one.
Springs is on there, actually.
is it?
Yeah, which I
Okay.
was
What
surprised.
about Vegas?
I know, right? You would think.
Nevada.
The weird thing is, I feel like outside of the Strip, Vegas is just, nobody wants to live there. So, well, anyway, okay, you guys. Unfortunately, this is the end of another episode. We've had so much fun with you. Next time, I'm gonna pull up a different list and we're gonna talk about it. And we're actually gonna talk about our experiences
In different
living in different cities. Okay.
Perfect.
So again, I'm Tiffany Toney. You can find me on Instagram at Tiffany_Toney_TV.
I'm Miko Rounds. You can find me at Miko_Rounds.
I like how I got my 2 boxers on the couch. Hey, she go rounds and Tony like the boxer, baby. I'm Margot Graff. You can follow me at Margot Graff or it's Margot Graff on Instagram. MARGO. What you see is what you get, and Graff like graffiti, baby.
And I am Michael. And you can find me on all social medias at official Michael. That's official, MYKELL.
Social medias. Anyway, we'll see you
Social
guys next
medias.
time.
Oh, God.
All the social medias.
Okay.
I ain't got shoes on, but y'all survived.
I forgot.